Hi everyone, welcome to my YouTube channel. And today we are going to talk about design patterns. And in design patterns, one of the widely used design pattern that is called as Singleton Design Pattern. So let's start our first session on Singleton Design Pattern. So before we start with our session, let's do a walkthrough of the topics that we are going to cover in the entire series of this Singleton Design Pattern. So I'm going to have small videos created for each and every example, so that you can go through it one by one and you can understand it easily. So let's go through the content. What all things we are going to discuss in the entire series on Singleton Design Pattern. So we are going to start with what is Singleton Design Pattern. And once we understand what is Singleton Design Pattern, why do we use Singleton Design Pattern, in which use case we can use Singleton Design Pattern, we'll then get into the implementation part of the Singleton Design Pattern. There are many ways, there are various ways to implement the Singleton Design Pattern. And we will start with the simplest way of implementing the design pattern. However, this would not be a thread-safe pattern, but that would be the simplest one to start with. That will help you all to understand the implementation of the Singleton Design Pattern. So once we understand that and once we know how to implement that, we will then try to extend that design pattern and see how we can make the design pattern or your class thread safe. Once we understand how to make it thread safe, we'll see some of the pros and cons of when we do this threads, when we wanted to implement it as a thread safe class. Then definitely we'll encounter some kind of plus and minus, positive and negative things about it. And then we'll also learn about the double check locking, right? Once we are done with that, we will see one more way of making the Singleton Design Pattern thread safe. That would be make it thread safe without using a lock. Once we are done with the thread safe and no thread and the thread safe design pattern, we will talk about the sealed classes and the importance of the sealed class while we are implementing the Singleton Design Pattern. We will see what's the benefit that we will get if we implement or if we use sealed class while we are implementing the Singleton Design Pattern. After that, we'll talk about lazy loading and the eager loading in Singleton Design Pattern. Then we will talk about the lazy keyword in the implementation of the Singleton Design Pattern. Once we are done with the implementation, after that, we will talk about the advantages of the Singleton pattern. We will also cover some of the disadvantages of the Singleton design pattern. And then a very important topic that you could be encountering when you are facing any kind of interview, that is the differences and similarities between Singleton and the static class. This is one of the most important things to cover, because this is something that the people would be asking you if you go for any kind of interview. We will see some of the real-time examples where we need to implement Singleton Design Pattern. And at the last, one of the most important and interesting thing, that is some of the common questions asked during the interview. So let's start with understanding of the Singleton Design Pattern with what is Singleton Design Pattern. A Singleton Design Pattern, it can help us in such a use cases where we need to have only one instance of a class at any given point of time. And at the same time, the same instance can provide a global point of access to it. What does it mean? So let's try to understand this by this simple diagram. So let's say I have created a Singleton class, right? I've implemented a design pattern. So once we implement this design pattern, let's say I have a class created, right? And I have some methods. So once we have implemented this class as Singleton, following the Singleton design pattern, after that, what is going to happen? So what will happen is, let's say somebody is trying to create an object O1, and then at the same time, somebody else is trying to create an object O2, and then we wanted to create an object O3. What is going to happen is, once for the first time when somebody is going to create an object O1, this class is going to give you an object back. Okay, so this is the first time we got an object. Now, next time somebody else is going to create an object. He says, give me a new object, and my name is O2. What is going to happen at that time? It is going to go to this class asking for, give me a class, give me an object. But what it is going to do is, this class will check first of all whether I have already created an object, and it will check whether I have already created an object for any other object, means for somebody else has already asked for an instance, and do I already have an instance created? Yes, if we have already created an object, in this case, yes, we have already created an object for O1, then what it is going to do is, it's not going to give you a new object, but what it will give you, it will return back the reference of the O1 itself. It means O1 and O2 both are same. O2 is not a new object, but O2 also has got instantiated with whatever we have in O1. So O1 and O2 will both refer to the same object. Let's see now, object O3, somebody wanted to create a new object O3. Same thing is going to happen. So it's going to go to this class will check if do I already have an object created for this, for somebody else? Yes. Don't create any new object. Don't create any new object. Just see what is the object that I have created, return the same reference back. It means now O1, O2, O3, all three will reference to the same object, and they will all share these methods, and they can perform any kind of task. Right? So this is all about the Singleton design pattern. What is Singleton design pattern? Now, if you wanted to implement this, right? How to implement this? So let's understand this by using the email diagram. So if you wanted to implement a Singleton design pattern, let's, in our case, I have taken an example. In our example, I have given the class name as the Singleton. And if I wanted to implement it, it's going to be very small implementation and very easy implementation. We just need to have an instance, private instance created, and the private type of this instance will be Singleton. After that, we need to have a constructor created, but the important thing about this constructor is, this constructor is going to be a private constructor. This is the main aspect, this is the main key thing. This is the key thing of the Singleton design pattern. So we need to have a private constructor created for that class. And then we will implement a new method that's a public method, and we can give any name. In this case, we have given a name get instance, and this method is going to return you an object of the Singleton class. This is the simplest implementation of the Singleton design pattern. In our next session, we'll see Visual Studio, and we will implement the similar kind of class what we are seeing in this diagram, and then we will see how to implement this, and then we will use this class. We'll try to create an object, right? And then we'll try to understand this in more details, right? For this session, that's all for now. And once you go through the complete series of the videos about this Singleton design pattern, there will be a couple of videos that I will be uploading one by one. Once you complete all the videos, and if you are able to understand a Singleton design pattern, and if you have a confidence that yes, you can also go ahead and implement this design pattern in your project, in your work, right? And or if you think that you have you're confident enough to face any kind of interview, and if you think that yes, if somebody asks me a question about the Singleton design pattern, I feel that I can answer all these questions, right? Then please share this video with all of your friends so that they can also get benefit out of it. Thank you. Thanks a lot, and see you in our next video. Thank you.